Hello everyone and welcome to chapter 2.1, chapter 2.2, which deals with value fields. So far we have covered the introduction, the basic understanding of COPA, the architecture which deals with operating concern in COPA, and the characteristics field, which is a master data in COPA. Now we are going ahead with the next master data of COPA, which is called value fields. Since in the previous chapter 2.1 we had already a detailed discussion on what value fields are and how those can be used, what is the difference between characteristics and value fields. I will not go much in detail on these topics, but would like to walk you through the system for value fields and at the same time give you an understanding of what the value field should look like based on different industries, like the way I did for characteristics. Just to give you a small brief on value fields. Value fields are nothing but the information that we would like to have in our profitability report. When I say information, those refers to the line items at which we are looking to access the information, like the raw material consumption details, like the variance details, like the cost of goods manufactured or sold details, revenue details, expense details, sales quantity details, production quantity details, etc. etc. Okay, let us now go ahead and see in the system itself how the value fields are going to look like. So I'm already in SAP screen, and let me go to the IMG screen. So I will be going through the SPRO, logging into the IMG screen. So here it's profitability analysis, as we have been accessing this from so long, and we will get our value fields. Let us go and check what is there stored for maintain value fields. If you recognize, the screen for value fields is almost or rather completely similar to the characteristics. That means in case of value fields also, system has divided it into three different categories, not rather categories but three different options, which are all the value fields, the value fields which if I require to see being assigned to my given operating concern, or the value fields which are not yet assigned to my operating concern. Okay, let us go and see all the value fields first. If you notice, you will find that there are value fields which are value codes, description for sure, and at the end there are two items which are amount and quantity. That means every value fields is being categorized, or rather featured with amount or quantity information. A value field can only be one of the two. One value field cannot have both the datas. The value field can have either an amount data or a quantity data. Okay, let us see the value fields which we have, and what are these value fields, and when and how we can use it up. Sales quantity, an important one, and is required pretty much for our profitability reporting. I will come to it when basically I will be mapping the report and having the outflows. I will come back to the sales quantity because it is a very important thing. Let me just give you a brief idea of why it is so important. If we are working in a make to stock scenario, that means we are just producing and our sales is not dependent on our production. Sales will go independent of my production. In those cases, what will happen is that, say I have produced 1000 quantity in a given month, but out of those 1000 quantities I have sold only 800 quantities. Okay, don't you think that my entire set of details, like my raw material cost, my variance cost, my production or rather value add cost, all this which I am going to look ahead in the profitability report should be for the quantity sold reason being that if we are seeing those for the production and considering the revenue for the quantity sold, what will happen is we will be saying that my revenue is for 800 quantity and my production cost or production related data is of 1000 quantity. As a result, I won't be able to get into the profitability of those quantity which are sold. Rather, I will be getting into the profitability of the organization, considering even the inventory cost in it, which are lying with me. So if as an organization you are looking at taking the data for all the cases to 800, it is important that the quantities in terms of sales and production should pass through to the COPA reporting. Again, just gave you a thought of why it should be done, why the information should be passed, apart from the basic fact that an organization on any given day would like to know their sales quantities. Apart from that basic fact, even there are other perspectives like the one which I gave is relevant and important to have some value fields like sales quantity, production quantity, etc. Let's go ahead. Outgoing freight again is important from the sales cost point of view. Annual rebates, if there are any rebates and all in the form of bonus and we are using those sales condition to cater those bonus items, then yes, those are important and to be considered. Incoming freight is something which we can pick up from the route, which is a material management route, by settling the cost from there to COPA. Incoming packaging is something which normally we don't use much and we don't find it much. So just leaving it aside, revenue any given day is relevant and important, and this is again all standard ones which we are talking about right now. Fixed production cost, again a bifurcation of cost which is related to production into fixed and variable. Then let us come to the production cost variance, lot size variance, quantity variance, price variance, other variance, resource users variance. All these variants are important, and from the production perspective, when data is flowing from production to COPA, the data should flow based on these variants. So in the system, that means in COPA, I can view different kinds of variants and which variance is related to what kind of nature, like is it price, is it quantity, is it lot size, segregation of those variants. And this for sure will help us to bring in or like put across different decisions which we require. Again, if we are having a aerospace industry, then number of block seats and revenue per block seats, block hours, all this will come into picture and will be important. Sales agent commission, in case we are again having a condition type for paying commissions, is important. Gross sales we can skip, is not that important. Crew salaries and crew expenses, catering and all will be relevant the moment we are talking about again aerospace. Depreciation is relevant and will be pulled from FI to COPA. Then again overflight fee, excess luggage, all relevant to aerospace. Fixed production cost, variable production cost, again the repetition of the previous item, either you take the previous one or this one. Better you take this one because it has a clear-cut demarcation of fixed production and variable production cost. Then let us come down, things are related to flight. Freight would be an important one. Fuel consumption would be another important one. Administrative cost can be important. Customer discount for sure. Advertising, if that is something which I can segregate at an order level or so. Promotions, sales and marketing. Let us continue. Raw material cost, no doubt. Then I think that covers mostly the standard ones. Now the items which you are seeing right now are the custom items, and people have created it, or rather these has been created with the specific requirements of the organization. Again, the ones which I highlighted are something which is a normal requirement that a company will have. There can be several other requirements that a company might come up with, because when we are looking at implementing COPA, for sure we are going to approach the company where we are implementing the COPA and ask them that what are the things that you are looking in the report. Probably he will come up, or the person will come up with its 10-20 list of items. Now those 10-20 list of items which the person has come up with, we need to see whether those informations, number one, can be provided from different modules or not. First. Second, whether those informations are coming to COPA as accumulated cost or based on certain parameters. Like for example, say we are talking about two different items, number one revenue and number one revenue, number two the cost like depreciation. Now if you notice, revenue will come from sales order. Similarly, the cost of goods sold can come from sales order. But for sure, depreciation cannot come from sales order and will be passed from FI. The moment depreciation is getting passed from FI, the moment depreciation is getting passed from FI, that will be our fixed cost. That will be a cost which is not which cannot be divided or distributed amongst the 100 sales order which we have in the COPA report. That means if I am trying to view the details by order, then for sure by order, although the information of revenue and cost of goods sold will differ based on order to order, but as far as depreciation is concerned, since the depreciation doesn't have the order information and there is no distribution of depreciation cost to the relevant orders, since it is flowing from FI, obviously there will be a big chunk which will be lying in the depreciation head and will be reflecting. So these things we need to place across, have a clear-cut discussion with the client that how they are looking at the report, what is that they are intending to. Could be that even there are certain smaller heads and bigger heads provided by client are crossing each other. Like if I say that I require COGS, then if I have COGS, that means most of the material cost I have covered under COGS, isn't it? So then why should I add in COGS raw material cost again? We should not. So there are certain things which we need to discuss with our customer and then finally derive at the concurrent list of value fields. Those value fields then needs to be checked against the predefined ones. If those are already available, excellent, we're gonna use that. If there are things which are missing, we're gonna create the things which are missing for sure. So let us now go to next option of value fields in operating concern, and you know our operating concern is idea. So let's display it and you will find the value fields which have been created under the relevant operating concern. Most generally consultants have different kinds of approach to value fields. Few consultants create their own value fields irrespective of the fact whether those are available as a predefined value fields in the system or not. It doesn't matter to them. They create their own and doesn't go with the one which is already there. Few first give priority to the one that are already there and then create for themselves if there are anyone which are missing. So it's a completely an independent call of what approach you are going to follow. Okay, obviously the list is showing those items which are extended for my operating concern. Let us go to the next option, which is value fields that are not used in operating concern and display. And here you are finding certain items which are not being considered for the given value fields. Most of them, if you see, are the ones which are standard. and anyways we can any day take one of them and assign it or place it for consideration. Sorry for this, let me just so let's go ahead to the next thing of how to create the value fields. Okay, so here you go, we are at value fields and we want to create a value field. Excellent. Now what can be a value field that we should look to create? Let us take an example that we want to have say tax recovery value field. That means whatever tax I pay to the government at the time of selling my goods, I want to recover that tax from the customer, and that's why I need a value field to reflect it in COPA report, that how much tax I have recovered against the goods which I have sold. Excellent. So let me place TAX REC, okay, tax recovery kind of a thing, and place create. Again the cross client update, but look at the message below. It says field must begin with VV. That means I cannot create anything as my value fields. All the value fields which are custom should start with VV. So let's put across VV, and let's say I put 8000, create. Again it says that I cannot have more than 4 to 5 characters length. That means the characteristics and value fields both are similar in nature in terms of the length. The only difference is the characteristic fields are starting with WW and the value fields are starting with VV. So keep that in mind whenever you are creating them, and even if you forget, system will always stop you or restrict you from creating it by giving the message below. Excellent. So let's go and change it to 5. Now we have 5 and it has allowed me to enter. So let me put across a description which is tax recovery. Now if you see, system will ask us whether it's an amount field or it's a quantity field. Obviously in our case right now it's an amount field. If it's a quantity field, do mention that it's a quantity field. Work done, just save, and once it's saved, activate the same, and it says all save fields are already active, so our value fields are ready for use. Now let's go back. Let us see whether the value fields which we have created is available or not. If you see over here, it's appearing and it's available. 800 tax recovery, isn't it? So it's appearing and is available, and as a result, let's go ahead to the next activity. We will go again back to the operating concern. Idea is our operating concern. You know how to create, or rather you know how to change the structure. First click over here, the system will pass on the cross client update message. Come to the change option, and from characters or other characteristics go to value fields. So now we are in value fields, and if you notice, it's the same way as characteristics. That means all the ones which are activated for my operating concern is depicting in the left hand side, and all the ones, this is the one which I'm talking about, and all the ones which are the entire chunk of list for value fields are depicting in the right hand side with a proper segregation, that items that have been transferred are in with a proper segregation, that items that has been transferred are in active blue and the items that has not been transferred are in black. So we need to select the item which we want to transfer from right and then shift it to the left hand side, and then again save it, activate it, and regenerate the operating concern, the way we did it for characteristics. Since you have already seen that it's a time consuming activity, make sure that you don't do it time and again. Rather, once your complete set entire bunch of structure is ready, then come over here and do activate all of them at one go and regenerate the operating concern. I mean, the only objective of saying you all is that keep the time or rather use the time efficiently, and skip the situation of regenerating it quite often. So now if you see towards the right hand side, we have our value field tax recovery. Let us select that, let us pass that to the other end, and let's see if we have yes, we have that at the end. So excellent, this has been shifted. Now let us save it. No, the abbreviation messages, nothing for us. Save and activate both the exercise, as we know will start together. These activities will be same as the characteristics, what we did for characteristics, so there won't be much or rather any change, just that the way we did the exercise for characteristics, same way we have to do for the value. Yes, one important thing, if you know the characteristics and values together, you can create both of them, activate both of them together, and then save and regenerate at one go. So that is something which will again give you the benefit of utilizing the time better. Okay, so I saved and activated, and now it is in blue highlight. So I think it's done, and let's go back. If you see, these are all in red because this is what I wanted to show you, and that's why I intently came back. All are in red because I haven't regenerated my operating concern. So I need to regenerate my operating concern. If I don't regenerate my operating concern, all will lie in black. Let's make it online, the activation part. Still it's not regenerated, it's just activating the things from the sense, activating the change which we have done for one value field. As you know, it takes time, and it is taking time. So now it has been activated, and now if I go back, system will ask for generating the operating concern, and I will be triggering it for yes. Guys, time for 5 minutes break if you wish, and if you don't, better be at your decks and keep seeing the objects getting updated with the percentage. You must have understood at least this part, that since there are four, if you recall, since there are four status, one is the main status of operating concern, one is the data structure, the two are the cross clients and the client specific status. All of them gets regenerated and then becomes green with one button of yes. So that's why system takes its own bit of sweet time to do all the activities at the back end. Okay, so we are lucky enough this time, since it was faster, and we have our value fields ready. Let's go and just check in display mode quickly. You see, VV800 is assigned to our operating concern. Let's go to the characteristics and see about characteristics, and you will find sub area also available for us. So both of them are available for our operating concern for its use, and that would be closing the value fields characteristics along with operating concern. So we have covered the structure part so far, which included the operating concern and value fields and characteristics. This sample operating concern is nothing to be used for our sake. Profitability segment characteristics are nothing but the characteristics we talked about over here. Set operating concern is generally to set the operating concern which we have for one go. The benefit is, once we set this operating concern, then wherever we are going it's relevant to provide an operating concern first as an input. System will by default take IDEA, our operating concern, and will not ask me time and again about the operating concern. So that is the advantage or disadvantage of having the set operating concern. Rather advantage. Structure is done, and now we are good to go to master data. And as I have told you that these two, the characteristics and values, are my master data, don't get fumble with that information and this information, because what is the case is all the characteristics that I have created, the characteristics which we have created so far, like sub area or the other ones which we have discussed, now those are a field, right? Now the fields will have several values. This is the option where we limit down the values. That means we say that sub area can be of 4 types, so we will put across those 4 types of sub area against the field sub area, so that when somebody is looking at providing the input under sub area field, one of those 4 types can only be used, as the reporting would be based on those 4 types of data. Okay, so again we will be taking master data into our next session. It will be a small chapter, not much. I won't say it as master data, rather I will say it as values for my characteristics. And once we are done with the characteristics values, then we will for sure go to the planning part, and then the very important topic, which is flow of actuals. Okay, see you for today, guys. Not rather today, for this chapter, and let's meet up in the next chapter, which is maintain characteristics value. I will keep it under the slab 2 itself, so this is 2.2 chapter and the next would be 2.3. okay, thanks for your time. Let's meet up in 2.3 chapter.